Hello crafty friends, this is Chelsea. In today's video I am going to be finding a sketch to use with this beautiful Secret Garden collection. This was a new release from Stampin' Up. It's the last of the close to my heart products that's being released by Stampin' Up. It's gorgeous. I'll give you a quick peek and then we are going to jump into scrapbooking a layout. I want to share with you some tips and walk you through the process of choosing my papers for this layout because it can be kind of overwhelming what papers to choose. These are the photos I'm working with today. Super cute. We're going back in time here to 2021. Isabella was just over a year old, and I want to talk about what a good sleeper she was and also how much she loved her crib. So I've printed off photos that are all from the same day in order to help me tell that story, plus they are just super cute pictures, so I definitely wanted to scrapbook them. Now before I pick a sketch, let's go through this paper a little bit. You can see there are some beautiful floral patterns. I'm showing you back and front here. So one side has the peach color, the other side has the honey butter color, and then same here with the Glacier and the Periwinkle. These floral papers, as well as these beautiful kind of damask-like patterns, and these small flowers on the branches, all of these come in one pack. So you get 12 sheets in the one pack of Secret Garden paper. There is also a really beautiful sticker sheet, which I don't know if I'm gonna touch this today. I'm probably gonna try to leave most of this because I am using another pack of this paper with my customers for our Zoom projects later in August. So I will share that on my channel at some point, the finished layouts. But I did get an extra pack of paper and I couldn't help myself. I wanted to cut into it and play with it. So gorgeous patterns. I will say right off the bat, these ones have a very strong French vanilla background to them. And I think I want to stick with white for my layout, so I may not be reaching for these ones today. There's also a coordinated cardstock pack, and usually when it says coordinating cardstock, we're used to seeing just solid two-tone cardstock. These ones actually have patterns, so you can see I have them out here front and back for all of them. And these are a bunch of the colors that are in this pack, including peach, periwinkle, pine, glacier, honey butter, and artichoke, which was a new color that was supposed to be launching with Close to My Heart. This is really lovely paper. You can see there's no zip strips. It's nice and heavy. And I'm going to have to pace myself with this one. I might use a little bit today, but I am saving it for those other layouts that I'm making in August. But just so you know, that is an option. There is a full workshop package on the website, and if you want to get solid colored cardstock as well as all this paper, the stamps, the dies, everything that's a part of this collection, you will probably want to pick that up. I will link all of this below for you so you can go see what is still available. For my embellishments today, I am using this set, the Secret Garden Thin Cuts. As soon as I saw this, I knew it was a must-have. It's a beautiful set of layering dies that create flowers, these beautiful layered flowers. So we are going to play around with that today. I can't wait to start cutting up some paper with these. So let's clear off my table and let's start picking some papers. I'm going to start with some 12 by 12 white cardstock and we'll see where we go from there. Now the CDT sketchbooks do come as a digital PDF, but I took this to Staples and got it bound, and I actually got it bound with volume 1 and volume 2 in the same book. So there's volume 2 right there. I like having them both together in one. I think that's super handy. And the one I'm using today is on page 22 of volume 2. So all the measurements are on there. I decided I wanted to use this one because of the number of photos, the photo sizes, and I really liked the different sections of paper. And of course it helps when you see the floral clusters. It gives me a really clear idea of where I'm going to place my florals, and I just love this design. So if you have less photos than I do, you could always substitute another 4x6 here, and you could do another 4x6 there with some journaling underneath, or you could move your florals a little bit up and onto this mat, or reduce that size of the mat if you wanted to keep this to maybe 3 photos. If you want to squeeze in more photos, remember anything that's a 4x6, you can always put in like 2 4x3s. Over here, you could expand this and create like a 4 square grid and either make one of those squares your journaling spot, or you could make a tag that is hidden journaling, something like that, if you want to expand it and have more photos. There's just so many options with sketches, you guys. I love using them. They're such a great jumping off point to help you scrapbook more quickly. So now for the picking papers. Now, when I hold up this paper here, you can see that the pink that's on here is pretty different from the pink that's on my daughter's wall. Hers is more of a cool tone pink. This is peach, so it's very warm toned. So right away, I'm thinking I don't want to use a ton of this color, maybe a little bit here and there, but I don't want it to be the major color. And if I use this large print, that's going to be a pretty strong element on my pages. So I could do the yellow, the honey butter, and I think that would look really nice. Personally, yellow isn't my go-to color. I usually reach for more cool tones like blues and purples. I think this could be a really nice combination with the blue and the pink. And then we also have the Periwinkle, which is a purpley blue. And if you guys know me, you know I love purple. And this is the way I am leaning, is with the Periwinkle color. Now I can definitely work in all the other colors into this. My pictures have pink in them, and other than that, they're very neutral. There's white and pink basically. But you can see here with these patterns, having this like creamy color on top of the white. Some people don't mind mixing cream and white. I'm not a huge fan of it, so I'm probably going to skip those ones for this layout. So right there, I've eliminated 4 different choices. And then we have this pattern. I think this is a perfect pattern because it is subtle, but it still is very feminine and pretty and will be a great background. So again, I have my 4 different color choices that are in here. And I could definitely choose to go more monochromatic, stick with the purples, and I think that is a really good choice. I can also choose to bring in some blue, which I think would also look really pretty. Remember, we can always tie things together with our choice of embellishment colors. And since we are going to be die cutting those florals for our embellishments, there's lots of flexibility of how to bring in those colors. So I'm thinking I want to stick with these 2 for my kind of biggest pieces of paper. And then I am going to bring in some honey butter and some glacier and a little bit of peach. I will, I think, end up working with all the colors. But now I need to look at my sketch and figure out where I want this bold pattern. Because this calmer pattern, that can go pretty much anywhere. I could use that for layers underneath. I could use it for any of these. And really it comes to how much do I want a certain part of the page to stand out. This has visual weight, both because it's a large scale print, but also because it has this dark background. If this had a very light colored background, this wouldn't read quite as bold, quite as busy as it does. So wherever I put it on my page, it's going to draw your eye there because it has a lot of visual weight. Whereas your eye will kind of skate right over this, right? If I have this down, I have pictures over top, I have some floral embellishments. Your eye is not going to this paper, it is going to the focal points. So that is something to keep in mind. In this sketch, we have a strip here, 2 strips here, and another one here. Now I'm thinking if I put the kind of bold print in the middle, that does kind of pull your eye along into the middle where, you know, I kind of have the bulk of my photos on either side of the middle. My photos would be overlapping this bold print. And if I wanted to go really bold, I could have this on all of these strips. But if I look over here, I'm going to have journaling and I'm going to have a big cluster of florals. Now, of course, you can always play with it. You could do smaller florals, you could do less florals, but I know that the dies in this set do create some bigger florals. So I'm probably going to want a big cluster of florals there. So I'm thinking I should put this pattern over here because then when I layer florals and I have my journaling, it's just going to be a calmer spot for all those things layered on top, as compared to having this here and kind of competing with whatever florals I put over top of it. So that's why I'm thinking that is a better choice for there. And what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this and experiment with putting this in the middle, and either also put another strip on this end or take a strip of this and put it for this little strip right here on the end. I want to get those kind of nailed down first, and then we will pick the papers to go around all my photos. It's a little bit easier to figure those things out, I think, once I have the major pieces of the base in place. I went ahead and cut out my papers according to the dimensions on the sketch, and I have everything just sitting here until I'm sure that's where I want it. I do like to lay out all my papers and then make sure everything's flowing the way I want before I stick them down. So this one piece over here is the one I'm not too sure about. If I want to have this bold pattern all the way across and then transition to this softer pattern over here. And the other option is I could bring in that 3/4 inch strip over here and kind of end cap the layout with those, and then that really makes the center of the layout stand out. I think really either option would look very nice. I don't think we can really go wrong here with either one of those. So let's just put that off to the side for a second and start looking at the other papers, and maybe that will impact my decision for this one. Okay, so another option could be for our big mat over here. I could put the purple there, and that would really tie in this side to over here. Then to figure out the other ones, I think I want to bring in a different color, because so far we're very monochromatic pretty much. For our accent color, we have the periwinkle on all of those pieces. And now I'm not sure if I want to bring in any more of this pattern because it'll look very samey. So I think I want to bring in some of the cardstock. This is from the coordinating cardstock pack. This could be an option. Go cool toned, which is my go-to. I love cool tone colors. But then the question is, over here, there's going to be another piece, like larger piece that's under here. Do I want to go blue on there as well and kind of have the two middle be blue? You'll notice that this side is lighter. This side is true color Glacier. This is the lighter side of Glacier. So I guess we are still getting our two tones. They're just in pattern form. That could be an option. The other option that would switch things up a little bit is flip this one over. Same pattern, but different color. And map my photo with that. And then bring in the periwinkle on this side for these photos. Either I could do the polka dots and have polka dots on both sides. I do like that lighter tone side, or I could pull in this side and have it a little bit darker of the periwinkle color. I went ahead and cut these pieces down, and then I left them the full length because I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but I wanted to see what this is going to look like with the white around it. And I flipped over the periwinkle because I like the lighter side. It matches everything a lot better than the darker side. Of course, you can use the darker side for contrast, but with all these pieces on here, I think I definitely want to stick with the green here. Now, there's one more thing that I haven't tried, which is adding in more green. I think that's too much with this paper right behind it. I guess I could do it over on this side. See how that looks. That could work, but keeping in mind I am going to have green for all my leaves on my florals as well. I'm not sure I want to do that. The other option is I could also bring in some neutrals. There is Mink in this pack. I think that really makes the pictures fall flat, brings out the gray in the pictures for sure, but I don't think that, maybe with a darker gray, I don't think that really helps the photos at all. Yeah, it kind of drags down the page. All right, I like this combination the best, so this is what I'm going to go with. You kind of reach that point where you just have to make a decision and decide to go with something. And this is the direction we're going to go in. I'm going to go ahead and trim these to the right length. And then we have, I think, one more big thing that we have to choose for paper. My first thought for the little strips on here was to bring in some glitter. I pulled in silver, pine and periwinkle from my stash. I was thinking about using it for all the little strips that are in the sketch that kind of border each one of these pieces. Other option would be to mix it up. Here I have pine cardstock. That's the dark side of pine. And I could bring that in, kind of end cap that middle piece with something a little bit more subtle. And then I could bring in some glitter over here and over here to kind of accent those pieces and draw your eye. I think this would work really well to mix it up like that. Another option is, one of my favorite sizes of glitter paper is to do little like 1/8 inch strips. It adds this really subtle, pretty glitter finish and makes it look really delicate. I think that's the way I want to go because I just love that technique and I love the look. I'm gonna go ahead and stick this down and then we can move on to some embellishing. Also, there are photo mats in the sketch and I'm going to just mat all of these in white. I'm not gonna play around with any other colors because we have so much color going on in the background. So I think white is just a good way to keep it simple. Before I stuck it down, I dovetailed the bottom of that periwinkle piece of paper, and then I did double mat my photos. I have mink and then white. White was just a little bit too boring. Now that I have the base all stuck down, I'm going to move on to creating my flowers. I love this die set. It has so much beautiful detail in it. So I don't think I'm going to go too complicated with my flowers. I debated doing some ink blending on them, or maybe some flower shaping. I cut leaves from both pine and sage cardstock, and the sage I used the light and the dark sides. And then for these flowers, I used Ballerina pink. Here's a close-up so you can see all that great detail on these layers. This one here is really cool because it has an actual slit, so you can slide the center part of the flower into that slit. And you can see two different shades because I used the dark side and the light side of Ballerina. For that little branch of flowers, I used pine and then periwinkle cardstock for the ends. And then here I used honey butter. I have the light side and the dark side. So I did quite a bit of alternating sides of cardstock so that I could have a little bit more dimension just by having a couple different shades of the color. If you're going to make these flowers, I would recommend cutting all your pieces first. Just do a whole bunch of die cutting and then you can sit down and assemble them and stick them all together. I'm using this little foam piercing mat and a flower shaping tool. I believe this is actually like a polymer clay tool. It came in a set of 4 and I got it off Amazon. I like using these just to add a little bit of shape and dimension. It doesn't take a lot. Because of the squishy foam that I'm working on top of, they actually shape very easily. And you can choose which side you want to shape. If you want to do it on the front, it will make it cup upwards, or do it on the back side and it'll be the opposite effect. So you can see I lightly did the leaves on this stem, and then I am just going to glue these two pieces together. So I'm starting with the larger one, which is the base of this flower, and then I'm going to add a little bit of glue here at the bottom. You could also put like a little dimensional, little foam dot in between this to keep that dimension between the two layers. There's a close-up so you can kind of see what that looks like. And I'm going to keep doing this, and some of them I'm going to shape them on the back side. This one I just did the bottom on the back side, and then the top part I'm doing from the front. And that way the bottom kind of poofs upwards and the back kind of goes down. And it actually gives quite a bit of dimension. And if you add some sort of foam tape or dimensionals in between the layers, they will keep this shape in your album or on your card. If you're using this on a card, it doesn't really matter too much to me. Some of these I will add some foam tape and some I won't. I'll just let them kind of go flatter in my album. I don't like to make my pages too bumpy and thick, so I tend to not use very much foam tape. But you can see the bottom layer, I just kind of went on the top side a little bit to make it sort of scooped on the outsides, and then I'm adding dimensionals to the back of this one so I get a little bit of lift between the two layers. I love having the two shades of cardstock. Hopefully we will be seeing some of that style of cardstock from Stampin' Up! In the near future. I'm very excited for that, and until then I am using up my close to my heart stash because I have a pretty good cardstock stash. It'll keep me going for a while. For my leaves, I did alternate some of them. I did this on the front, some of them I did it on the back, just did whatever I thought would look good. I alternated so that I would have some variety, and I just generally want a little bit of curve to them so that they look a little bit more natural and just not as flat, a little bit more interesting. So here we are. This is the other flower in this set. I didn't show me putting that together, but there's two large flowers and this is what they both look like. You can see them next to each other now. And I'm going to start building my clusters. So this one over here on the right page is going to be my biggest cluster. So I'm really going to fill it out with lots of leaves and lots of flowers. Whenever I'm building clusters, I'll talk about floral clusters, but this really applies to any kind of cluster of embellishments. I always like to start with my largest pieces first, get them placed, and then start to work my way around and adjust all the smaller pieces, fill in any gaps, and basically I'm just adding things until I'm happy with how they look. Now I felt like I needed something heavier over here, something darker, so there was this perfect little enjoy those moments or enjoy these moments sticker, and I thought that would fit perfectly, and it's dark green, which is great because it adds some visual weight over on this side of the page. I did adhere that cluster off camera since you saw me put it together, and I'm going to do that the same way for all of these. I'm going to place all the flowers, and then when I go to stick these down, I just remove one at a time, add a little bit of glue, or I just tuck my glue bottle under there and squirt a little bit if I don't think I can get it back in the right spot, but generally that's what I do. So I just lift out one at a time, glue them in place until I have the whole cluster stuck down. This one here, I am going to change slightly, kind of play it around a little bit and end up moving those leaves down to the bottom part here. Now I'm going to build my last cluster. You can see I'm always starting with that largest flower and then tucking in the smaller pieces and figuring out how they look best together. I really don't think there's a wrong way to do it, but I just fuss with things and rearrange them until they look good to my eye. But I think everyone can have a different way of building their clusters. For my title, I used this mini alphabet die from Stampin' Up, and I cut the word sweet out of pine cardstock. So I'm just arranging those here. And then the dreams I did on my Cricut. I used one of my system fonts and I cut an offset in Glacier cardstock, and then I cut the actual word dreams out of silver glitter paper. I hadn't planned on adding any more flowers, but I kind of ended up with this weird little trapped corner in there. So I added another small flower and some leaves, and I like how that filled that in a little bit so I didn't have this awkward little corner. I did add some gems here, but I'll show you that in my close-up in just a minute. I typed up my journaling because I knew there was a lot that I wanted to say and there's no way I could fit that in if I wrote it by hand. And then I grabbed this fancy borders set and I'm using this scallop design. I like the detail that this has. So what I'm going to do is just cut down my journaling. This is printed on white cardstock, and I'm going to cut as close as I can here to the text on both sides, trying to make it even. I did not measure it. I was just eyeballing it. And then the remaining, the top and the bottom, I'm actually going to cut with the die. I didn't have a tag or any kind of die that was big enough for this block of journaling, so I figured I would make my own kind of decorative piece. I'm lining it up, trying to put that largest little scallop in the middle, and then I'm just going to washi tape it in place and run it through my Big Shot. I'll repeat the same die cutting on the other end, and that will leave me with this really pretty piece for my journaling. I'm happy with how that turned out, so I'm just going to go ahead and stick it down. And I also want to mention, in case you didn't notice, off camera, I put a couple of word stickers from the sticker sheet over top of the picture that's just straight across from my journaling. There needed to be a little something there, just a little detail, and I didn't want to add more flowers. So I added some sticker strips there. Now you can see the beautiful gems. These are the iridescent faceted gems from Stampin' Up. They are gorgeous. I need another pack because I've pretty much used mine up. And look at all the twinkle, little hits of glitter, the title, those little tiny strips of glitter paper, and then of course the beautiful texture on those flowers. If you want even more dimension, you could definitely add some ink to these layers for the flowers, but I really don't think it's necessary. If you're looking for some more inspiration on how to choose the best paper for your project, go ahead and watch this video here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.